Now I've got candidate for the U.S. Senate in Missouri, Lucas Kunce. Lucas, always great to have you on.
Yeah, man, it's great to be here. Thanks, man.
So, Lucas, you are running for the U.S. Senate in Missouri against Josh Hawley. Hawley has just released his new book entitled Manhood. How enlightening was it to finally learn about manhood from reading this book?
Oh, dude, I mean, for 29.99, you can get all the secrets straight from the man himself, right? And if anyone doesn't want to actually take the time to read the book because it is quite a chore, I can tell you that much. The secret is, unsurprisingly, to be more like him. So, the guy who skittered out the back of the Capitol is going to teach us all to be manly, manly men, I guess.
That's right. That's
And
right.
oh, by the way, and if you're a woman, you need to stay out of the workplace, he says, because that's just really bringing men down these days.
Yeah, just driving us straight into the future with Josh Hawley. Lucas, you co-wrote an op-ed for the Daily Beast. I want to read an excerpt from what you wrote. Real family values are about providing a healthy alternative to the toxic masculinity that Hawley is offering. The disconnect between men and the economy or society isn't happening because men are failing to achieve some weird idea of what it means to be a man. The core of this crisis is the fact that men without a college degree have seen their relative earnings fall by 30% since 1980. Why? Because Josh Hawley and others like him have blocked advancements for working class Americans at every turn. Can you speak a little bit about what you meant by that?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I've seen it in the neighborhood that I grew up in. And so I grew up in a working class neighborhood in, a small, medium-sized town in Missouri called Jeff City. And, none of us had any money. Like my parents got married early, 19 and 22. It was a very similar story to everybody in that neighborhood. Um, Mine in particular were Catholic. And so they had four kids, bang, 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 right? They were doing the right thing by the church. And we were all living paycheck to paycheck. And the thing was, though, we could all take care of each other. And so when my littlest sister was born, and she had to have an open heart surgery, she actually had a couple, and our family went bankrupt from that. We made it because there was enough slack in that community. There was enough resources in that community that everyone at their churches passed the plate for us. People brought tuna casserole by the house, right? Like everybody was able to take care of each other. And we've seen about 40 years of disinvestment from neighborhoods like that, disinvestment in our public schools, taking away our opportunities, just really stripping our communities for parts like the one I grew up in, to the point that we don't have the ability to take care of each other anymore. And people like Josh Hawley are the exact problem. They're the people who disinvested from communities like that all across our state and all across our country. So now you go to that neighborhood, a place where we all as kids used to run in and out of each other's houses. Everybody could take care of each other, and it just looks desolate. The first house I ever lived in is an empty lot. The one I joined the Marine Corps out of's got no windows in it anymore. The corner store was boarded up because it's been robbed so many times that it couldn't get insurance. And so, and what's gone in there now? A smoke shop, of course, because that's what goes into neighborhoods like that. And so what I see the need is, like, he talks about, oh, there's a crisis of masculinity. No, no, there's a crisis of leadership. And the leadership we have here is leaders who make decisions based on the corporations that are funding their campaigns rather than for the communities that make our state and our country strong. And so what we're saying, what Jake Auchincloss and I, Representative Auchincloss and I, are saying is we need to invest in communities. We need to invest in unions. We need to invest in apprenticeship programs. We need to invest in paths for people to have opportunity so that they can take care of themselves, and everything will work out a lot better.
Now, Missouri is a red state. You'll need Republican voters to win this election. What's your pitch to Missouri voters who may identify through and through as Republicans? How do you win them over? And have you had any success in winning over, those who do identify as Republicans thus far on the campaign trail?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing is, first of all, like Josh Hawley's very unlikely. I mean, the guy who writes a book on manhood is like kind of creepy just to begin with, right? The dude ran out of the back of the Capitol. So even if you liked what he did at the first half of January 6th, they're kind of like, oh, well, actually, he's just a coward in the end anyway, right? And so he provides us a unique opportunity to contrast sort of my bio, where, I did 13 years in the Marine Corps, deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan, really been trying to serve the country, with a guy who really only cares about himself and maybe the zillionaires who originally funded his campaign. But the fun thing here is that a lot of them have abandoned him, right? Like, so our former Senator Jack Danforth was a Republican. He made Josh Hawley who he is. He said Josh Hawley's the worst mistake he ever made. the zillionaire out of Joplin, Missouri, who funded Hawley, said he's not going to support him anymore. The guy's not really been able to raise a lot of money, and people here just don't like him. He's, his disapproval is higher than his approval, which, for you said it was a red state, but like for a Republican in Missouri who hasn't been having negative ads thrown against them, like that's an achievement. And he achieved that just based on, being himself.
Just
And
being Josh
so
Hawley. Yeah.
just being Josh Hawley has gotten Missouri made him one of the most unpopular people. And the thing is that Missourians are willing to split their ticket, right? In 2016, the last time we had a Senate election at the same time as a presidential election, Donald Trump won this state by the most anyone had ever won by. It was like 17 points. And Roy Blunt, Jason Kander was running against Roy Blunt. Jason Kander was a veteran like me, a Democrat, and he came within 2.7% of winning. So Missourians are willing to switch their vote. We don't have to overcome as big of a gap as we used to because the craziness has just been, kind of bring that party down as a whole. And we got a lot of people who want what I want and enjoy that. And so examples, you asked for an example. I mean, the
Yeah.
state firefighters union just endorsed me over this last week, and they've endorsed the Republican for governor. They endorsed our current Republican Senator Eric Schmidt. They endorsed our previous Republican Senator Roy Blunt, and they're just they see Josh Hawley, they see his fakeness, they see his unwillingness to do anything for the state or the people here, and they said, you know what, we're going to endorse you instead. And so we see that not just with organizations, but with people all across the state who, they're either tired with what's going on in D.C. or they're just tired of Josh Hawley. Like, we just don't want a kind of a creep and a faker representing us.
Have you had any success with other unions, given the fact that Republicans have such an overtly anti-union stance nationally now? Have other unions come forward and said, even though, we may have supported Republicans in the past, that we're now moving toward you or toward Democrats?
Missouri's got a real big union presence and a strong union background. And so most people don't know this, but the anti-union right to work sort of legislation that a lot of states have passed, Missouri overturned that on a ballot initiative, 68% to 32%. So like massive margin. And so far, most of the unions have consolidated behind me. Any endorsements that have been made in this race by unions so far have been for my campaign. And so we do have a bunch of locals, the Kansas City Building Trades and several others. And that's really the boots on the ground warriors that we can sort of start putting together now. We're going to knock these doors and, can say things like, I've supported X Republican, Y Republican before. I'm not that different than you, but I'm telling you right now, Josh Hawley's a scumbag and we got a Marine veteran here who actually cares about us and knows what our lives are like. And it's going to be a difference maker for
Yeah.
us.
And I've said this before in other interviews as well, but it's important to get this moving fast because I think what a lot of Republicans do and what they've had success with doing is trying to define their Democratic opponents before those opponents have had the chance to define themselves. So that's the importance of, if people are wondering like why already start to bring candidates onto the show, why start to interview them now more than a year prior to the election, it's because, this is where it matters the most. This is where people are forming their opinions. And we have this rare opportunity here before Josh Hawley has had the chance to go on the air with attack ads for you to come out and define yourself and to kind of dictate the terms of this conversation. And for Democrats, a party that has historically not had a lot of success in dictating the terms of the conversation and messaging well, this is especially important right now.
Yeah, we've been hitting him hard. I don't know if anybody saw, but we just did an ad with John Hamm. So John Hamm, Don Draper from Mad Men is from Missouri, and we did an ad together just because Josh Hawley's book is out, and John was like, we're going to do something about this, and
Yeah.
they played it on Joe Scarborough played it and a few others, and that's the way. You're absolutely right, Brian. We got to start defining this battleground. I was in the military, right? You want to be the person in a military engagement who picks the battleground so that it's convenient, or it's not convenient, but it's like it's best situated for you. And that's what we're doing right now, getting out early and hammering away.
What do you think that voters in Missouri should know about Josh Hawley that they may not know right now? Is there something that he's been able to hide about himself or just in general who he is that voters might not know about?
I mean, I think most people got a pretty good inkling of it. You see that from his numbers. What we need to do is just reinforce that this guy's a fraud and a coward, like that, just a fraud and a coward. And when they go into the ballot box, we want people to say, "Oh God, no, just can't do that guy." And Lucas Kunce, he's all right. He's a Marine veteran. He cares about me. And Josh Hawley, honestly, like uh, he does it all on his own. Like I said, like I mean, for the guy to be that unpopular without even having any negatives run against him, it's just he comes across as so arrogant. He comes across like he doesn't care about you. Anyone who has ever tried to reach out to his office from either side has had no success getting a hold of them or getting anything going on. And so I think it's all out in the open already. Like there's no deep, dirty secrets that we got to roll with. The guy's he's just, he's no good. And we just need to reinforce it. And even more importantly than that, we need to make sure that my contrast is out there. The way that I grew up is very different from the way he grew up. The way I understand Missouri, my service history in the Marine Corps are all critical components because we can't just have people be like, oh, gross, Hawley, and then hold their nose and vote for him anyway. They have to feel good about voting for me and know what I've done over the years, and it'll work out just like it almost did for Jason Kander.
Well, to that point, how would Missourians' lives actually change if you were their senator? Like I know that we've spoken about your past and contrast that with that of Josh Hawley, but what about what you would be able to do for Missourians if you are elected into the Senate and able to serve?
Well, sure. One big thing for me was, we passed the Act recently in the House and Senate, and Joe Biden signed it. And so this was protecting veterans from exposed to toxic burn pit waste. Josh Hawley voted against that when he had the opportunity to. And obviously, I stand with veterans, being one myself. I was exposed to toxic burn waste in Iraq. I still have some symptoms from it. And, Missouri's got a huge percentage of veterans, and taking care of veterans is important to me. And it's not something that matters to him. Everybody has sort of seen the Norfolk Southern train crash where all the chemicals were spilled. Well, when Josh Hawley was Attorney General, he got rid of Missouri's laws and our enforcement division that would protect Missouri citizens from something like that. And then he took a bunch of money from Norfolk Southern. Me, I'm not taking any money from corporate PACs. I'm not taking money from federal lobbyists. I'm not taking it from big fossil fuels, big pharma execs. And so I'm going to be in a uniquely situated spot where I'm not going to make the compromises and I'm not going to sell out the way that he's sold out over and over again. Like I can actually stand up and protect people. I don't think that members of Congress should own personal stocks. I'm going to move to make it so that they won't be able to make decisions based on their stock portfolios, which a lot of them have been doing for a long time. There are a lot of ways, he hasn't brought any money back to the state. I want to use my leverage in a closed Senate to bring money back to the state and invest. I think we can build out the next generation of energy technology right here in the heartlands. Right now, what you see is a lot of war is caused by fossil fuels and energy right now. I mean, the war in Ukraine is funded by Russian gas purchases. And I think that if we built out the next generation of energy here in the Midwest and made that investment, then we would export energy and we could reduce the likelihood of war in the future over basically anything. And so there are a lot of visionary things that I'd like to do and put out there. And, Josh Hawley's not interested in having vision. He's interested in getting up there, squawking a little bit, and then parroting around what great things he's done on Fox News, and have someone who will actually bring money to the state, focus on the state, meet with constituents. It's sad because that should be the baseline that you do no matter which party you are.
Yeah.
Roy Blunt used to do that. He'd meet with people and try to help them out no matter where they came from, and he does none of that. So I think the difference is going to be absolutely extreme.
Lucas, Gen Z and millennial voters are now the biggest voting bloc in the United States. What's your pitch to young people who may not have voted before?
Well, I am a millennial, so I guess that helps a little bit on that front. But it's just this is critical, right? If we want to protect our future, we're the only ones that can do it. We are the only ones that know our issues. We're the only ones who, frankly, care. And none of the things that the boomers and before had are going to be there for us if we don't protect it for each other. And so Josh Hawley was asked the other day, hey, what do you think about the debt ceiling? Doesn't it make sense that you'd want veterans to get their benefits? Doesn't it make sense you want people on Social Security to get what they need? Wouldn't you want the school funding to go through? And he said, and I quote, "I don't think it's in my best interest to push for that." It's like, well, what is your interest, man? And so the thing that we need to do with people my age and maybe a little bit younger is we got to get into their spaces. We got to talk to people where they're at. I do a lot of YouTube shows. I go on Twitch because really right now it's the exposure, and a lot of people my age and younger. We don't watch the same sort of media. I mean, well, this. I'm just preaching the choir here, but like, there's a lot of other media out there that we need to engage in so that we can meet people where they're at. And the lucky thing is that that's what I consume too. So it's a pretty easy reach for me.
With that said, how can we help?
You follow us on Twitter, Lucas Kunce MO. It's Kunce, Lucas Kunce MO. Go to our website, lucaskunce.com, donate, volunteer, tell your friends. If you know anybody here in Missouri, tell them you heard us here. Go watch our John Hamm ad and like it on whatever the medium is. It really is right now. It's about getting buzz. Because when people see a sort of like when reporters, mainstream media types see a groundswell, they get engaged, they want to report on it, they want to cover it. It's happening for us right now, and we just need to keep that going because I'm telling you, we are on the front lines in the fight for democracy here in Missouri. This is it. This is the front lines. Up until 2017, almost every single statewide seat in Missouri, governor, secretary of state, down the line was held by Democrats. We lost our last statewide Democrat this year in 2023, my friend Nicole Galloway, and people here are willing to vote for both sides if we give them the opportunity, and we got a weak candidate on the other side. We have both of those things. It's absolutely critical with the way the Senate map is drawn this year that we have some offensive targets.
Yeah.
And I mean, Missouri is what you got, right? It's Missouri, Texas, and Florida. And so, just tell your friends, spread the word. Let's get out there because next summer we're going to need every single resource behind us in order to knock out what may be the single most evil senator in the entire United States Senate.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just last week I interviewed Colin Allred, who's running as a candidate in Texas, and that would be against Ted Cruz. Now, we've got you running against Josh Hawley here. So, two senators who were instrumental in making sure that the events of January 6th happened and making themselves front and center in terms of working to overturn the election results. So, these are great offensive targets. Make the Republicans spend their money in these states. And if we have the chance to win in seats like this in Missouri and get rid of someone like Josh Hawley, who's very clearly only out for himself, that would be the best thing for democracy. So with that said, Lucas, thank you for taking the time, and I'll definitely have you back soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian. I'm looking forward to it.